in the year 2025. So happy to be here, so happy to be alive. It's a nice, beautiful, cloudy, misty morning, as you can see. Or actually, I should say, as you cannot see the mountains in the distance because the fog and the clouding up in the distance. And yeah, so we're off on our walk. We're gonna get our walk in, get our exercise going. You know, that 2 weeks that I had the flu. It was like, flu shouldn't last 2 weeks, but I was out of commission for nearly 2 weeks. And during that 2 week period, I put back on about, say, 8 pounds. Since I've been back doing the walking and exercising, about 4 days now, 5, 6 days maybe. Those 8 pounds are gone plus some. So hip hip hooray for that. Happy about that. You know. Anyway. Yeah, so we're on the regular route. Something that I've been thinking about for a while is starting a live reaction channel. Not starting a live reaction channel, but just doing live reaction on this channel. I do a lot of different subjects, or not a lot, but I should say, a few different subjects and looks. Like, I don't just film one thing. I'll record one thing and then put it up there. And I think for me, it makes it more interesting. Plus, I don't have access to a lot of people in a city, and even if I did, I would not go start interviewing people randomly or doing stupid pranks or filming people fighting and stuff like that. That's just not my style. This is not something that I want to put in my head. And I prefer to film, early morning dawn walks because that's, to me, more real life and much more significant than some insignificant person spewing out hateful comments or anything like that. So, that being said, I was thinking about putting out, and I'll do it. I will get the components prepared today to do that. Then I'll talk about other things. One of the things that I'll talk about is immigration. Immigration is a big deal in the United States, and illegal immigration is an even bigger deal in the United States. I don't know what the numbers are. I have an outside point of view, and I see a lot of unrest, but the true scope of it is kind of skewed by the media in a way. So I don't know how big these, what are the ICE agents doing, and the scope of the protests by groups. I don't know how large they are. I know that when they're filmed, they certainly look significant to me, but you don't get an aerial shot of, say, because I saw this, Tommy Robinson organized the Britain for Britain walk, I guess that's what it was. Britain for Britons. I don't know. I don't know what the title of it was. But anyway, they had significant amount of people, and there was aerial coverage. You could see, people for the eye, as far as the eye could see. And I don't think that's the case with these Antifa demonstrators, but certainly they're causing some sort of level of distress. And so I don't know. Immigration's so I'm a legal immigrant, I am, an illegal. I'm not illegal. I'm a legal immigrant into Thailand. And then what that means is I got a passport and I had to put up a large amount of money to me in the bank, and keep it there so it's documented. It shows that I have that amount of money that will take care of me for my stay here and for my exit, and that I have the resources available to me. I'm married, so my visa is a marriage visa, right? So I have to go to the immigration office and I have to go through an interview process, provide pictures and pictures or photos, whatever you want to call them, as proof of my relationship. In other words, they don't want people to have fake marriages and getting marriage visas, or the ability to stay within the kingdom. It is a kingdom, for as a scam. And there used to be some of that going on. I don't know how rampant it is these days, but Thailand is very strict on these illegal immigrant laws. So if somebody wants to break the law, then the consequences may be a bit stiffer here than they are in the United States. If you're caught without, on what's called an overstay, overstaying your visa, you get put into a immigration jail, and it can take a while for things to process for you. And these immigration jails are not the most pleasant places to be. I've seen pictures of them many times over the years, over the 25 years I've been in Thailand, and it's not someplace I would want to be. But, they do have some illegal immigrants in Thailand, but are they illegal? I'm not sure. There is a sort of like the United States had like a one-day trip from Mexico to the United States. I think that's what it was. I think that, I'm not quite sure, but I think that you as a Mexican citizen, you could enter the United States for one day or something like that without a visa. I don't know. If somebody knows what that was all about, I certainly would appreciate it if they wrote it in the comments below. But so before Thailand and Cambodia were having the problems that they're having now with each other, the borders closed, you can't go in or out legally. A lot of Cambodians would come into Thailand and they would do a lot of the menial work that that they would fill. They had a void to fill as far as a workforce, and they would have jobs in Thailand for better pay than they would get in Cambodia, and they would then send that money back, take that money back with them to Cambodia. And I'm pretty sure that I know for a fact, I've seen the news and everything, they were invited to come in, so there is that. There are some people who come over from the western side of Cambodia, is on the east of Thailand, and on the west side of Thailand is Myanmar, or the Golden Triangle, which is not really Myanmar. It's a mountain range which is semi-controlled by what's called the Shan State. But people from Myanmar would travel through that area and come and work in cities like Bangkok and stuff like that. And this was not like frowned upon or thought of anything. And the thing is, what's the thing? This was an accepted policy. But for somebody like myself who is a Westerner, I'm not allowed to work, right? So I think that I really shouldn't speculate, but I will, for the sake of talking, is that Cambodian and Burmese, with Burmese being Myanmar, people from Myanmar, could come here and work, and they would turn a blind eye to it. But they have to work, right? They're not here committing crimes. If they are here committing crimes and they get caught, I won't speculate as to what happens to them, and I'll be very blunt about it, is that it's a very bad decision. And they make it back to their country, they're lucky. I'm not sure how many make it back to their country. But they're here to work. I'm not a person Westerners aren't here. It's not even in a fraction of 1% of Westerners who come here who are here to do those kinds of jobs. So if somebody from the West here is caught without a proper visa, and they're most likely doing illegal activities like drug smuggling or prostitution or some things like that, sometimes even contract murder, And these are the people that they really want to go after, obviously, for obvious reasons. And they do. So that's why I have a legal documentation. I have legal immigration work. And if you really want to have a visa and you don't have the money to put in the bank, there are avenues you can go, or I should probably say back alleys you can go down to obtain a legal documentation visa to the country. So it is mostly a function of the illegal aliens who are here have the money. Most of them have the money to obtain a visa one way or another. And then they should do that. And then their whereabouts are known and stuff like that. And you remain, an alien, basically. That's what it says. The translation is in English is, you're an alien with residence status or something like that. And that being said, think about America and their immigration policies. They had flooded the country with illegal immigration, and which, in my opinion, really amounts to an invasion of a country. And it is the same thing in the UK and in Sweden and in Ireland. There are different migrants coming in, like France. France is probably the hardest hit with illegal immigrants is if they come through Calais. These are really not the kinds of people that I would want to invite to my country. And this is definitely an invasion of Islamic people. You say, you can't say it because Islamophobia. It's not Islamophobia. It's ridiculous. This is a ridiculous retort or way of trying to counteract logic. And it is nothing short of it being an Islamic invasion of the country. Their purpose in their Quran is to convert everybody in the world, and they came for France, just before Charlemagne took power, and his father Charles the Hammer, and they did it with the Iberian Peninsula, which happens to be, if you don't know what the Iberian Peninsula is, Spain and Portugal, which they held on to that. They conquered and held on to the Iberian Peninsula for about 800 years. When they did what they do. They conquer, and then they force you to pay a tax just to exist, and they could enforce apostasy or other things like forced conversion and stuff like that. But they, for some reason, I don't know, the exact history of it is there still were even though the Muslims, the Moors, were able to, from the Umayyad Caliphate, were able to retain power and dominance in the Iberian Peninsula. There was still a very large majority of Christians, and which ended up in the final Reconquista year was the same year that they sent Columbus to go explore for the New World in 1492. That was the year where Isabel and Ferdinand, the king and queen of Spain, made a proclamation that either you convert to Christianity or you die, which is and reclaiming their lands, the lands that they had previously had claim to. And they were successful in that, and that was able to come to fruition over a period from 12, like the 1200s. No, even before the 1200s, they were fighting against the Moors. But the Moors had a very stronghold, had a large stronghold there in the Iberian Peninsula. They would even go up and make travel and trade through up to England and the Netherlands. And when I say Netherlands, I don't mean the Netherlands, the country, the Dutch people. I mean the northernmost European countries, which they would go and make trade. But so, how does this go back to illegal immigration? So that's the illegal immigration in the European countries is a little bit different than the illegal immigration in the United States, even though the United States has factors of European illegal immigration as well. But if I were a new immigrant to the United States, and I'd gone through the process of getting a visa, and I'd gone through the process of getting a green card, and maybe I became a naturalized citizen or something like that, and I processes that everybody is supposed to go through, I wouldn't be too happy about illegal immigrants coming in undocumented. Nobody knows who they are because they're undocumented. They don't have them in sort of any kind of registry of hey, what's going on, brother Burundian Shoes? Nice to see you. Are you from Burundia? Anyway, so it is an issue that the United States has to deal with in order to control their autonomy and who they are as a nation, just as it is for, say, Spanish, the Spain, country of Spain and France, England, Germany, Sweden. All these countries that that had very lax immigration policies for the last 20 years, which were then taken advantage of. And in doing so, they created a social problem within their own communities. It's the stupidest thing I ever thought, I think that governments could have done is what they did in the United States and Europe with these lax immigration laws or lack of laws, which led to illegal immigration because you weren't protecting your people. That's the whole point of a country. You don't have, Sweden, for example, has thousands of Somalis. Why the fuck are you taking the Somalis in? Listen, I feel sorry for Somalians who, have a country that is, in a civil war, or last I checked, they were in a civil war. But send them back to fucking Somalia. If they want to, they let them fight like everybody else had to fight for their country and fight for their, fight for the good causes that all the countries did themselves. Each of these countries, like Spain, France, Germany, England, Sweden, all these countries, at one time they fought for their autonomy as a nation. And they shed a lot of their own blood doing so. And now in the last 20 years, you have these liberal, super left-wing, really people living in a fantasy world, making the decision to, that affected everybody. And I don't think that they even got the consent of not even a vast minority of the people who live in these countries to do what they did. So I would even go so far as to say is that the government leaders in all of these countries that got together to allow these things to happen is nothing short of treason. You're turning on your own people, taking the welfare being of people who are not citizens in your country and making them more important than the people who are in your country. And every single one of those countries has their own problems with their own people, their own unemployment, their own crime. And then you add this on top of it, it's just totally ridiculous. It should never have happened. And it's just like really weird. When you look back at it, I don't think history is going to be too kind, unless of course, it'll be very kind if, this turns out to be where the Muslims are able to take Europe and gain control and, get to become members of the House of Lords and stuff like that in England and become the mayor of England and write the laws and everything like that, then history might be written in a different way. But I don't think that's going to fully happen. It's just going to be a problem that's going to have to be dealt with. And history will not show that this was a shining moment in European and American lawmaking policies. Which is interesting because if you look at the United States, and if you believe YouTube and watch YouTube videos all the time, and they talk about this black fatigue problem and stuff like that. Well, that would be more like, in my opinion, a poor fatigue problem. So what's happening here is you have blacks who are involved, but you also have whites who are involved, and you have Spanish descendants involved. You have everybody who's poor, which means a part of every sector of the population involved in this. And these happen to be citizens. So the lack of focus on improving the lives of the poor, which the Democratic Party turned their back on totally, and they created this problem by opening the doors with this open door policy. And it really hurt lower income people, because now, not only, think about it, like who is going to be hurt the most by this open door policy? It is the group of people who are the poorest, right? Because now they're going to have to fight and compete to get jobs, lower end jobs against illegal immigrants. Hey, and this is a factor too. You got to think about this. Not only do they have to compete to get like legitimate jobs and stuff like that, but even the criminals, even the naturalized, and this might sound funny to you, the naturalized criminals inside the United States now have to compete with illegal immigrant terrorist criminal gangs, right? And so this is going to make our own, or I should say, legal criminals have to if they have to compete with illegal criminals, then it's going to, they're going to have to up their game, be more vicious and stuff like that, because it is a problem that is caused by the overpopulation of illegal immigrants. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. I'm going into the store. I'm gonna get myself a spinach sandwich. So I will get back to you guys later in the day with some videos and hopefully I'll be able to do a live reaction stream today on some content and whatever I can do. But thank you so much for spending part of this morning with me. God bless you all, and hope you all have something to think about. And wherever you are on this planet, maybe you have a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, and a good night. Bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.